Once you grasp this truth that I'm about to tell you, it'll set you free from religion. It'll set you free from parents and moms and family and governments and police, everybody. It'll set you free. And it's simply this. You are divine. God has exploded in a Crab Nebulae explosion, and he has come and manifested himself as billions of people. And you're one of you, and so am I. When I look at you, I see God. When you look at me, you see God. That's why God's name is I Am. I am God. It doesn't mean that me, God. It means I am. When you say I am God, you have to say, what is God's name? I am. What? I am God. Oh my God, then all the people, Christians run around, oh, I told you they think they're God. I don't think anything on the side. No, Jesus Christ said, the scripture says you are God, and the scripture cannot be broken. So he said it.
Yeah, like I'm not third album.
Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Ascendant Astrology, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I am going to be discussing or continuing my dark side of the sign series with Capricorn. And now, Capricorn, I did Capricorn because Capricorn is also ruled by Saturn. And with Pluto and Aquarius, Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. And so Aquarius, you may also find some similarities here as well. I'm not gonna lie, this one was a little bit difficult for me because I have my South node is in Capricorn in my fourth house. And a lot of these things I can relate to because these to me are things that are like a way of life. And so I found it interesting that a lot of these things were considered the dark side, but we'll talk about it. And I'll share some of my experiences. Also, another thing to note with Capricorn is that because Capricorn already had the North and South node in Capricorn, or I think it was the North node in Capricorn, and I coined the year 2020 the year of Capricorn because that whole year there was a stellium of planets in Capricorn, and Pluto just ended its long stay in Capricorn from 2008 all the way up until, I mean, we could say this February, but it did dip into Aquarius a little bit last year around the same time. So however you want to view it is up to you. But I say that to say that a lot of these things that might be considered dark side to Capricorn people, they might have already learned a lot of these lessons in our healing and seeing some of the blessings that are going to come from a lot of these transits happening this year due to all the work they've already had to do or have been through because of all the Capricorn energy. So I'd like to hear, some of your thoughts and how you feel about this, if you guys resonate or not, and, all that good stuff. So, dark side Capricorn, the men, starting with the men, they can be very negative. You might not want to take them anywhere because they tend to carry a dark cloud over joyful occasions. He can be pessimistic, be like a half empty kind of guy instead of seeing things half full. He could be greedy for money because he's motivated by fear, poverty, loss of status, and not being seen as someone of authority. He can be cheap, and depression is ruled by Saturn, and so he can come off as very depressed. They also have a tendency to punish and deprive themselves of things a normal person sees as a good time. And this was one of the things that I was like, that's not negative, that's bad. Now, obviously, you should balance everything out. And that is something that I can say today I am learning how to do, but we know we live in a world that is ruled by, it's a capitalist country, right? And so a lot of that energy can pertain to having to sacrifice living a specific way to get ahead. And so this was one of the things I was like, that's not negative, that's art. What the hell? Because I do that. I definitely do that. I had two, because the my south node is in Capricorn. While we was having all those Capricorn transits in my fourth house, I had a lot of experiences with that. I lost my car. I lived like I don't know how you want to call it, in an empty house for 5 years, due to some of the loss that I had during those Capricorn transits. That was about, oh my God, 5 years ago? Maybe, yeah. How long? Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago. In my last apartment, I lost my car, and I lived in that apartment that I had for 5 years with barely nothing in it. I got rid of my TV. I really went through something, guys. Like literally, I was like, I don't want anything. I don't want anything in my house. And so I don't have a I mean, I haven't owned a TV for a really long time, to be honest. But specifically that 5 year period of time, I really threw my TV out. Like I have a flat screen TV, but I never really watched it. Now I don't have a TV in my house. I use my laptop and tablets to watch stuff. And I barely even do that. I really only have those things for the noise. It helps with my mind. And so, but going through that process really helped me save money more and be more intentional with my goals on saving and getting out of poverty, which has always kind of been my goal. But as a single mom, it's harder, and it obviously takes a lot longer because it's only one person, one income. And if you don't know all these other things, which I didn't learn until 2020, and really, that's when I started really, really, really saving money and making more money without working. Um, but I didn't know all those things prior to that. But going through that drought really helped me learn, like, this is what you really have to do to save. And it's a lot of hard work. Um, Also, as a woman, specifically, um, when you have kids, that also kind of put me in a difficult position because I'm the type of mother who will take time off. So I don't believe in sending my kids to school before they can speak or talk or tell me if somebody's doing something to them. Because as a mom, there's one thing I know. Being honest with myself and my mind. It's hard raising kids and having to be around them 24/7 all the time, taking care of a child. I don't care what age they are, how cute they are when they're babies. That shit can be stressful. And so in my mind, I think as a daycare person, I don't care what anybody says, a daycare mother, especially ones who take care of infant babies, they're stressed out because I'm stressed out. I'm just being real and practical about that idea. I don't care what anybody says. I know sometimes some of those daycare mothers be doing stuff to them kids. And although I understand their position and understand how stressful that can be, you do something to my child, I'm burning your fucking house down, right? Like, let's keep it all the way real, whether it's right or not. Ain't nobody gonna be doing anything to my baby but me, right? And so this is how I think as a mom. And so when I had my first son, I took a year off from work. I didn't work at all, but I made sure I taught him everything he needed to know. I made sure I learned his mannerisms, habits, patterns, and behaviors so that I know if something's happened to him, I build a bond with my children enough to know whether or not, somebody's doing something to them. They can't talk, but I will know. You know what I mean? Like, that whole nurturing piece to me is extremely important. And when I had my second son, I did the same thing, but I took off 2 years that time because I was in a deep depression at that time. I was going through a lot, and to be honest with you, I really didn't want to be doing much. And if I'm being super honest, I didn't take much time off. Well, I did, but I was still doing Uber here and there in between until I stopped, um, until I didn't have my car anymore. And so, in that sense, that's kind of when I fell off with my mothering because I was really going through something. But for the most part, I don't play about my kids. I take time off to make sure I know every single thing about them. I know every single part of their body, what's on their body, what's not on their body. Like these things are very, very important to me. So that threw me off a little bit with this, but I guess I get it at the same time because too much of anything can be bad, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? And so I am learning today that I can't be working myself to death, and kind of dismissing my responsibilities without taking some time off and doing stuff for me. But even in that process, as I was learning that, I also had to wait it out and sacrifice enough to be able to have enough money to do that. So, as a mom, for me, the idea of living in poverty or, fear of loss and status and all that stuff, I can attest to that. But I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a sacrifice. Sometimes you have to do those things. But now that I have more money, I do take myself out and, I try to do self-care stuff. But they can be cheap. Oh, I did say that already. um Okay. They are hard on themselves. This is very true. And others, they can look down on people or can be brown nosers. A brown noser is just an ass kisser. This is somebody who wants to be with important people or around important people and do things to get up in life or to gain status. Um, Yeah, I'm not good at that, but yeah, I get it. If you don't prioritize them or make them feel important, expect to be ignored, cast aside because they like to feel important, they can be very critical. They'll pick you apart around your finances, how you clean and cook because they do that to themselves. Like Virgos, um, they can be unemotional towards others' issues, punished through sex or by withholding sex. They might like funky, sweaty sex. They can be workaholics, materialistic, and opportunistic, which is the same thing as a brown noser. They might hang with people for the sake of what they can get out of you. Um, they might not even deal with you unless he can get something out of it. They can be very bland. I also can connect to this too. When it comes to style, um, because I am or I do consider myself as a work professional, or I've always been like before I got into all this, my specialty was a secretary. So as a secretary, when you sit up front, you're like the face of the company. You have to dress up in a suit and be professional. And so I've kind of held jobs like that or anything to do with typing and, all those jobs that require you to dress professionally. And this is what they mean by bland, somebody who doesn't have any style, or they might again wear a suit. Um, these people might fear others not liking them, can be phony. They're one person in public and another person, you know, when they're in their home or in their private space. This was another thing that kind of threw me. I didn't see how this was considered negative, because again, I'm going to use my grandfather as an example, who was a minister. So you can imagine, as a minister, he had a reputation to hold up. And when we went outside, we were dressed and had clean cut, matching head to toe, like we had ourselves together. when we went out in public, it was mandatory. And not to say that when we went home we weren't less, but when you're at home, why would you have to keep up that same front? Like, you're at home. That's where you're supposed to be yourself and um, be more free and whatever. So I had a hard time with that one, I'm not gonna lie. I think that's how everybody should be, but you guys tell me your thoughts on that. Do you agree, disagree? Am I missing something? Are you supposed to be the same person when you're in your own, in the privacy of your own home? Like, that's dumb. But anyway, um, he may expect you to work hard even though he has three jobs, or he might expect you to stay home and take care of the kids. They are very traditional that way. Um, if you make more money than him or as much money as he does, he may feel threatened by that. He might stay hooked on the past because this is the opposite of Cancer. And so if the past does happen to come back, he might leave you for that person. Now, women, they can be mean, have a resting bitch face, miserable, nasty attitudes, haters, just because they don't really need a reason. Cold-hearted, heartless, has a hard time showing empathy to others who are less than or weak, who they perceive as less than or weak. I need to make that emphasis. Um, they can be cheap and materialistic. I am very cheap. I hate spending money. But again, like I talked about in the past and on other videos, um, this country they're thieves, okay? I think that they send you to work to go make all that money and then you go out and give it right back to them. And the thought of that drives me insane. And I don't want to give them back my money. So I am very frugal. I'm very intentional about spending my money. I believe in budgets. I don't buy anything I don't need. I don't I'm not a materialistic person. I hate a lot of stuff. I only want what I need. I only want what I need. Another reason that I am like that, by the way, is because I have boys and boys are messy. And as a Libra rising, I like a very nice, elegant house. I will invest in art and beautiful things. And like, I like glass, clean cut stuff. And I did that with my first son. He tore that house up. And then I ended up reprimanding him for it. And then as I got older, learning, okay, that's not really how you handle things. And so in my mind, I changed that mentality about myself. And if I have kids, I won't tend to uh, do up my house nice because I know that I'm just going to want to reprimand them for it, but they're kids, that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So I keep my house um, bland. That's just what it is. It's bland. It's bland and it's boring. It's lame. Because I know that the kids are gonna fuck it up. And I'm not paying all that money just for my stuff to get fucked up. That's where we're absolutely not gonna do. Yeah, so yeah. Um she might act more like your parent, no matter who you are, but especially if you're in a status beneath them. As a parent, she tends to be a father more than a mother because they are natural disciplinaries. That was true with my first son. I've gotten better with that. They are controlling and don't have a nurturing nature. Am I controlling? I think I can be a little bit of both. I need a reason because again, I did have a good example, I think, from my grandfather. So I will tend to be for a purpose or discipline for a purpose. Um, but being controlling is too much energy, and I don't tend to have the energy to do that, especially now that I'm trying to build and grow my business, be better and do better. There's like certain things that you have to release and let go of, especially like I think I had mentioned this in one of the either new moons or full moons that I was talking about. Um, the block that I had from being at work. And when we had that week off from work, so many other things were able to come in. So a lot of the times, like if you're OCD or you have control issues or you're trying to control things, what it does is it blocks your blessings, it blocks your foresight, it blocks your ability to see things for what they really are. And so you have to be able to let things go in order to see clearly and get other things done, like make time for learning, reading, studying, like all these things that I do now. I don't think I've ever would have gotten to that point if I was still being the controlling person that I was, but I had to learn that first. And so I think, like I said, people don't change. So I can be controlling to an extent, but I have learned to let a lot of that stuff go and be more nurturing. Another thing I could say about that is as a mom, that I won't I stopped with like cleaning, like my ability to clean. I am an obsessive cleaner. I do dishes for as a way to relieve stress. Like I love doing dishes. It literally makes my heart skip a beat because it allows me to think and like get things off my chest. But I stopped doing a lot of that now because with my oldest son, what I'm learning as a mom is that I coddled him. Like he was responsible for doing his own dishes and cleaning up after himself and keeping his own room clean. But as he got older, like I said, I've been through counseling and a lot of things, and I learned that he has admitted blatantly and out loud that he can be lazy. He can be, he doesn't know what it means to be responsible or take care of a household or, what those things are like because I didn't give him chores like that. Like he didn't have to take out the trash. He didn't have to do anything else in the rest of the house, but that was my house. All he had to do was take care of the stuff that he used often in his room. And so I learned that by doing that, I didn't teach him like skills, values, morals, ethics, and those little things that you need to know to live your everyday life. And so now, like, we live in this house and everybody has their own responsibilities, everybody has their days to do things. And that has also allowed me to do more self-care, worry about me, be in my own head, like the things that I was doing when I was doing dishes. Since I don't do them anymore, I will go on walks and do stuff for me, whatever that is, because I have more free time with everybody else helping out, which also means is that I had to let go of the idea of what clean looks like. You came to this house, it'll be clean, but it'll be like, oh, if I clean this house, my 7-year-old and my 23-year-old, and that's exactly what it looks like, except for my room and my space. But I had to let that go. Because if I didn't, I would have just drove myself crazy, to be honest with you. And so the kids need chores as a way to know what it's like because we're trying to get a house, we're investing, and they're clueless to those things. And I want somebody to work on my team with me. I need help doing this. But if they don't know or understand why those things are important, if they're not doing them to learn them and not just me talking at them or teaching them or trying to show them and have them understand, they don't get it and they will disrespect you, they will disregard you, they don't listen. And so I had to learn over time to allow them in on the things that I'm learning as well, so that they can do the same and see, what it is to save money, why it's important to have a budget, and, why it's important to get up and clean every day and wash your ass, those basic every day-to-day things. If you don't teach them, they'll grow up doing the same thing. So yeah. So a dark side of Capricorn will either control the situation or want to control the situation or won't deal with you at all. if she can't be in control. She has such a negative attitude that she won't have many friends. They feel lonely, which leads to loneliness. They cause strife and discord with family that leads to loneliness and full of resentment as a result. They are very ambitious to a fault. Again, phony in public, very private and suspicious of other people. I literally just talked about that. Um, Unless they want something from you or you validate them in some way. She can be opportunistic, a user or an exploiter. She can she will only call when she needs something. If she feels you're not useful, she won't deal with you at all. There are two types of dark-sided Capricorn women. The first is a bitter old, before her time workaholic and the materialistic social crime gold digging trophy wife. The bitter old, before her time workaholic is me. I've always kind of seen myself as an old lady, and the reason that is because um I'm not trying to brag or anything. These are other people's words. I don't typically tend to feel this way about myself, although I don't think I'm ugly, but I have a nice body. And so dressing up and things like that gets me attention that is frustrating to me and very unattractive. I will purposely dress down. Before, when I was a tomboy, I never, ever, 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 ever wore tight clothes. I always had on baggy pants, Timberland boots, and a hoodie. That was my shit right there. But I'd have my hair done. My hair always kind of stayed done because I had aunties in the beauty field. But um, those things were important to me. I wasn't just wearing those clothes because I was a tomboy. I wore them because I didn't like the idea of dressing like first of all, I didn't dress feminine because I didn't think it was cute or important. I didn't resonate with it, but more than anything, dressing like too overly sexual to me it's a turn off for the type of attention that it brings. It actually gives me anxiety, to be quite frank with you, the way uh, lustful men will lust after a woman who, dresses sexy. But yeah, so I can definitely relate to the bitter old before her time workaholic. um, they can be doubting, depressing in their appearance, wearing dark colors and have no style. She will take care of her man. She might attract a bum or somebody less than her who will humiliate her, exploit her, and break her down, but she likes it because she feels she needs to be punished. They have a masochist belief that nothing is worth obtaining unless struggle is involved. I do believe you got to work hard for what you want, but I think everybody can relate that you do or things don't get done. Um, um, I don't really resonate with all that other stuff. So, so she can be prone to marry or date down, but it's to control things. They may make all the money and take care of all the responsibilities. However, creates resentment. I do resonate with this when it comes to my friends. I had a group of friends that I was very close to. I don't think I'd ever do it again, if I'm being honest. If it's not business, I really don't want much to do with it. It's just, to me, it's more secure. But having my friends, I literally was the mom in the group. I took care of them. I cooked. I made sure we stayed together. Like, we would have meetings. Like, I turned them into my family because those were the things that I felt like I didn't get from my family, and something that I craved and wanted so badly. And so for me, yeah, I think I overdid it, even though they did show appreciation, especially later on in the friendship when I let go. Keyword. I definitely got that back tenfold. But in my mind, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what my expectations were of them. And it did lead to a lot of resentment. But I'm very vocal about those things, thank God. Although I think it might have made things uncomfortable from time to time, but they heard me. And they, when we would talk about those things, or we were able to talk about those things and come up with other ways to do things. So I'm really grateful for that. But at the same time, it is something that I feel a little embarrassed about. I understand it differently today, so I'm over it. But yeah. Um, she might, okay, so however this creates resentment, yet she still will remain loyal for many years. This story reminded me of Mary J. Blige and what she went through. I don't know if you guys know, she's a Capricorn, and that tumultuous relationship she has with that guy that kind of took all her money. I think she actually finally got them back, thank God. But it was also another thing that was kind of hard for me to accept, the fact that this was something seen as a dark side. I don't care who you are, how naive you are, or whatever position you're seen as, for somebody to be allowed to think that they can steal from you is disgusting. Like what he did was, that's crazy. And to call this somebody's dark side, I thought was a little harsh and insensitive, to be honest, because I'm pretty sure she was really hurt by that. However, if I'm being realistic and thinking maturely about it, basically, I believe that the reason why they put it as the dark side is because you're the only one who's responsible for your life, you know, and you got to be mindful of those things. If you stay in a situation where you're not happy, you're bound to you know, reap the karma of that. So standing up for yourself, being strong, setting boundaries and limits is very, very important, because people are going to take advantage, especially when there's money involved, like real money involved. I'm not talking about little money, like big money, like what Mary J. Blige makes. You know what I mean? It's more likely for people for you to attract people like that. So either way, nonetheless, having boundaries and those things are very important in a relationship. Um, so the materialistic social crime gold digging trophy wife, she only cares about getting ahead. She may also be a workaholic, but never marries down. She overdoes it on the makeup and accessories, is an ass kisser to the boss to get that position. All about money due to fear of being broke. She can be a sellout, likes authority figures like cops, presidents, CEOs, like people in big positions. They can be snitches, cheat to get ahead, lie to get ahead. They can be boring. I am really boring, guys. I've gotten better. I think I still got a lot of work to do, because I'm not a materialistic person, so I could care less about going out. I could care less about dressing up for special occasions. Like, you really have to touch my heart in order for me to want to do something like that. Or it has to be a very special occasion or celebration in order for me to do that. And even now that I'm getting more stuck in my ways, even then I might just send you some money, or you know, send you well wishes and be like, look, y'all know who I am now, okay? I won't be there, but I'll be there in spirit. Uh, just because I really am working on some goals that require me to be that way, to be quite frank. But at the same time, I am kind of getting used to it, and I like it, and I really don't care who thinks I'm boring. I really don't. Um, they can't cook or don't want to cook. They might guilt trip you. They have elitist attitudes, no matter what status they're in. They can be strict as mothers and will put her career before her motherly duties. She can be cold-hearted, judgmental, and unsympathetic. Now, the crazy part about this, guys, I think my grandmother is a Libra, or she might be a Scorpio, because I just know her birthday's in October, but I don't know what day. And the crazy thing about this right here is my grandmother from my mom's side, I don't like her. I haven't liked her since I was a little girl. And I don't know if I knew this subconsciously or something, but I've always related mean parents to Capricorns. Like, I always thought she was she just, to me, whatever the fuck a Capricorn looks like. She always put me in the mind of, oh, she must be a Capricorn. I don't know why, because I never had any real proof of that, but that's how I always felt. And I remember one year she invited all the grandkids over, and the next day we had school, and she said, she was going to take everybody to school. Now, my grandmother has always been the type of woman who catered more to boys than girls, because she felt like girls were a little slutty and, whatever. Something must have happened to her for her to feel that way. I can't really say, but um, my mom tells me stories about how she treated the girls over the boys. And so the crazy thing is that she invited everybody over to the house. It was her idea. And we all got together. We had so much fun that day, just chilling, having fun. She cooked. My grandmother can cook her ass off. And we ate, we had fun. Like, it was just a good day hanging around with my cousins for no reason. And the next day, like, we had to go to bed at 8. The next day, everybody got up. Now, mind you, again, I'm not really that close to my grandmother. I never have been, but my cousin, the guy cousins were, obviously. And so they knew the routine. This was my first time ever staying at her house. And this heifer let everybody get dressed, never said anything to me or told me what to do. After a while, I was sitting there, I was like, okay, well, she's telling everybody else to do, but she ain't saying anything to me. So I just started following suit. She took everybody to school one by one. And when it came down to me, I was like, I'm ready. And she was like, oh, well, you should have said something when I was taking the other kids to school. And I was like, are you serious right now? My grandmother lived, I want to say, maybe about 6 miles away from the bus stop that I had to go to in order to get to school. I cried that whole way to school that day, the whole way, because, like, who the fuck does something like that? She's probably got some Capricorn traits in her, but I don't know why I always felt that way, but whatever. Um, they can be very unsympathetic people. I have a Capricorn sister who's a little wonky too, although I think it's more of her Aquarius placements than it is her Capricorn. But if you think about it, they're both ruled by Saturn. Having that much Saturn energy in your chart can be, um, I'm assuming it's not easy. And so they will also be cold to children, but be jealous if they cling to a nurturing father. She won't see herself as the problem. She'll blame the father for putting the kids against her. She expects her children to win her over through hard work and compliance. She can be cruel with her criticism. She will kill a child's spirit over and over. They get pleasure out of seeing people in pain and suffering. Very sexually aware at a young age, because they eavesdrop on adult conversations. They can be a bad influence on younger siblings and friends. um she can't wait to grow up and leave the nest. She thinks she knows as much, if not more, than her parents. She's likely to run away and never come back. These are typically women who can be what we call a madam, like what I talked about in the Scorpio video. These are the women who will help someone who's like in that field of um the how do you say it? You guys are looking at me like, bitch, I don't know what you're trying to say. Oh my God, the sex trade stuff. This is another sign who will be the ones who kind of groom the girls, if you will. But yeah, what they lack in as a housewife, they make up for in the bedroom. They can tend to lack creativity and imagination. I do think that my creativity is stunted. I don't think I'm a creative person. I think that I'm practical and logical, and that is my gift of being creative. They are charitable to make up for karma. Family, as usual. I know I rushed through that, but you know, I got shit to do today, y'all. But either way, I love and appreciate y'all. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.